Welcome to the BNI Knox podcast, helping members in the Knoxville, Tennessee region grow their business and make more money through the power of referrals. Now, here's your host, Curtis Johnston.
Welcome again to the BNI Knox podcast. My name is Curtis Johnston. I'm with Gallagher & Associates. With me, as always, is Andy Brassfield.
Curtis, what's up?
Oh, just another day in paradise, my friend. We're coming to you from the studios at Trademark Advertising, as you can see from the beautiful signage behind me. Thank you, JR, for all you do for us putting this podcast together. If you're looking for web design, digital marketing, public relations, anything along that line, give JR a call at Trademark. Your business doesn't need marketing. Your business needs customers. Did I get it right?
Close enough.
All right. I like it. And for our listeners and viewers, if you're checking us out on YouTube or on Facebook, if you've got some ideas for topics, you've got some questions for us, you can always send that stuff in. Send it to Andy at bigtreetelly.com, bigtreetelly.com, because we could always use some feedback from our audience. So Andy, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I got me a cup of coffee. I'm ready to rock and roll.
Mm-hmm. The coffee's good too.
Yeah.
The coffee's good too.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some visitor follow-up. As we had mentioned last week, we have member extravaganza coming up in a couple of months, in a few weeks actually.
Yeah.
And so member extravaganza is a great time to invite visitors and to fill the room for the business opportunity event.
Opportunity days, awesome events.
So tell us about the importance of follow-up.
Well, you know, the fortune's in the follow-up, and I'll tell you a story about Judy Householder. Years ago, she was a BNI member in Sevierville.
Okay.
And I guess she got tired of driving that far every week. I don't know, but she decided she was going to move her membership to one of the Knoxville chapters. And so Judy Householder would be the pick of the litter. You know, what chapter gets her as a member gets a real asset.
Oh, sure was.
Yeah. And so at the time I was president of the energy chapter, and she came, you know, and visited our chapter among other chapters along the way. And, you know, we won, we got her as a member. She applied for membership in our chapter. And of course, you know, we approved her. And so we got, and later on, she explained to us why she chose our chapter.
Oh, okay.
Judy, why did you choose the energy chapter out of all the other chapters you visited?
Fair question.
She said, because y'all were the only ones who actually followed up properly.
Really?
Yeah. That was it. That's what she said. We followed up. So what did follow up look like? Okay. And what we had then was we had a team, about 4 of us on the visitor host team.
Okay. And
we had a schedule. So remember, the energy chapter meets on Friday mornings.
Yes.
So on Monday, there was a phone call that went out.
Mm-hmm.
On Tuesday, there was a phone call that went out. On Thursday, there was a phone call that went out. And then the president, that was me, made the last phone call on Thursday.
Okay.
So we were calling 4 times. Now, let me add this. Never one time did I have a visitor tell me, y'all call too much.
Really?
Really.
Because I know that there's some apprehension in our members, like, I don't want to bother.
Well, that's why I say it, because I've heard it.
Yeah.
I've heard that so many times. Well, you know, we call them, we'll bother them, whatever. No. People are looking for connections.
That's right.
People want to be wanted, right? So
Agreed.
You call them up. Now, I'm going to take one of our little side trails here for a minute, if you'll give me permission.
One of your little side trails.
Yes.
Going off script. How about it?
Yeah. So when you follow up with a visitor that visited your chapter, avoid all of the BNI talk.
All right.
Remember, the purpose of our organization is to build relationships.
Yes.
So someone visits your chapter, the last thing you want to do is call them and ask them if they're going to join.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So here's what I recommend. If you're just doing follow-up, you're trying to connect, maybe you've developed a good habit of calling every visitor, whether you're on visitor host team or not.
Which is perfect.
Yes, because you're trying to build relationships. Call them up and mention BNI one time in this context. We met in the BNI meeting. I'm calling to make a connection.
Okay. That's it. That's the only time
That's it.
you mention it.
That's the only time you mention it. It's the president's job when they make that last phone call
Yeah.
to say, are you going to apply for membership?
Okay.
All right. Everybody else leading up to that, unless they're on visitor host team, and we'll talk about that in a second. Everybody else who calls, just use the BNI as, hey, remember we met in the BNI meeting.
Right.
And on Zoom, you can say in or at or on, whatever. But
Right,
hey,
right.
we met in BNI the other day. I'm just calling to connect with you. Hey, do you have time to maybe talk on the phone, or do you want to schedule to have coffee, or maybe do a Zoom call?
Meetings
I'd
or
like
whatever
to
you're
learn more
comfortable.
about how I can help you in your business.
Right.
Giver's gain applies whether they're a member or not.
Oh yeah, we talked a couple of weeks ago about how you're supposed to shove your way into their lives and be like, hey, I want to help you. Let me help you. You do the same thing with visitors.
Yeah.
As we know, we've all gotten business from visitors, even if they never join.
Exactly.
All right, so go ahead.
But they want to be wanted, so you follow up with them. Now, the visitor host team should have somewhat of a little script. The first caller is going to thank them for visiting the chapter.
Right.
Tell me about your experience. The second caller should say, thank you for visiting the chapter. What questions do you have?
Mm-hmm.
The third caller could say, thank you for visiting the chapter. Are you planning on coming back next week?
Yes.
And then the president,
Mm-hmm.
thank you for visiting our chapter. Are you going to apply for membership?
Nice.
When?
Very nice. Kind of turns up the dial.
Turning it up slowly.
Right, right.
And when the president says, are you going to apply for membership? It really shouldn't sound like a scolding, or any kind of a harsh, like that. I'm just saying, get to the basis of the business.
Right.
Ask the question. The closing question is, are you going to apply for membership?
Right.
If they say yes, and we all know that it's online now, if they say yes, then say when.
Right.
Why not today?
That's right.
Why not right now? I can help you with it. I can walk you through it. And if no, then would another chapter be a better fit for you?
Well, could you ask, like, if they say no, you could certainly ask, why not?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that surprises me. Can you tell me a little bit why you're not joining?
Yeah.
Because you may want to know that your people haven't made the phone calls, or something happened within them. I mean, as a president, you'd want to know, why aren't people?
Absolutely. So you're exactly right. If they say no, well, can I ask you to do me a favor?
Sure.
It would really be helpful for me. I mean, it's okay, whatever your reason. I'm just curious as to why.
Yeah. Would you share with me the details of why?
Just want to know
easy to
why.
say.
Yeah. And then let's assume then that we're going down this conversation, and well, Friday mornings at 8:00 just don't work for me.
Okay. Well, that's fair. There's, like you were just mentioning, there's a bunch of other BNI chapters right around the corner that meet on Tuesdays or Wednesdays or
well, would a different day of the week be better, or maybe a different time of day? Maybe you take your kids to school every day, and a morning meeting is not good for you.
Right.
Maybe a lunchtime meeting would be good.
That's right.
Would you see value in that? And this gives the president the opportunity to pass a referral to another chapter.
Right.
Building more connections. President, call the other president immediately.
I've got a visitor who's not going to work out for us.
Yeah. And so let me make this connection, and you give them a call, and let's get them in your chapter.
Perfect.
And then the law of reciprocity kicks in, and they're going to send people to your chapter.
Yeah. I really wish there was more of that greasing of the wheels between chapters. Mm-hmm. And of course, I'm not pointing any fingers. I'm pointing at me, of course, as well. But we don't do a lot of the, oh, it's not going to work for me. Okay, well, go hop online and see where you can find another chapter. And they may just fall by the wayside. And I feel we should be more purposeful and literally pick up the phone and call it the other visitor host team at Rainmakers or wherever and say, hey guys, I got somebody you may want to talk to, because we know for a fact it's not going to work out for NRG. Yeah. And I feel like that should be happening more.
And if your chapter is using Voxer, there's a good chance that the other chapter may be using it too. Yeah. You can just look up the chapter president and send them a quick Voxer message. Mm-hmm. Hey, look, I've got somebody visited my chapter. It's not a good fit. Might be a good fit for your chapter.
Sure.
Get some convenient conversation going that way. Or pick up the phone, and call them.
The old-fashioned way.
The old-fashioned way.
Now, do you get royalties from Voxer? Because you talk about Voxer a lot.
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
And Voxer has Voxer is free, but they have a paid version to get extra features.
Okay.
So you can use Voxer for free entirely.
Okay. Yeah. So you don't have to pay to use it.
You don't have to pay to use it. There are some features that if they're important to you, it's like $30 a year, you know, and you can do that.
But you like it because you've got a great radio voice.
I like it because everybody else on my team is on it.
Oh, okay.
And it works well. Some people use WhatsApp, and WhatsApp is great too.
Okay.
But it just so happens that most of our team is on Voxer.
All right. So if I'm hearing you correctly, the important piece to this is communication within the visitor host team.
Yeah. So you got to have some communication. You got to do that follow up, you know. So when your people are making the phone calls, back to the energy example.
Okay.
On Monday, Susie made the calls, and then she would email the rest of the team. Okay, I made my calls, and she would list each visitor and the result of the call.
Nice.
You know, interested in membership, not interested in membership, do not call back, or
whatever the case may be.
Whatever the case may be, coming back next week, left a message. I mean, whatever it was, you know. And then on Tuesdays, that was Laura's day, or she would call. She would then respond again to the email for the team. Okay, I made my calls. Here's what happened.
Yes. And
then on Wednesday, then Irving would make his calls, and he would reply to the email. Here's what happened. You know, the important thing was we had communications.
Yeah, and documentation. I'm hearing.
Yeah.
So there's the story.
All of us were in on it.
Okay.
You know, we kind of knew where this person was going from the first call.
Yeah.
And that was so helpful that by the time Thursday got there and I made my call, I mean, I kind of knew what side of the fence they were already standing on.
Right.
And the question back then was, when can I pick up your application? But you notice I've changed the question to, are you going to apply?
Yes.
Because we're online now.
Right.
Are you going to apply? And do you have that link?
Right.
You need me to send you the link or whatever, you know, you can go that direction with them. So that's a typical type of follow-up system that we want to employ. But on on member extravaganza, then we're going to have awesome events, right?
Correct.
And if we have each member who's invited 3 people, how many people in your chapter? 25?
Yeah, thereabouts.
That's 75 people then that have been invited.
Right.
All right. And so how many of those are going to show up?
Off the top of my head.
About half of them.
I go half.
About half of them. So between 25 and 50 is 37 and a half, right?
Right.
And so, 38 phone calls, your visitor host team needs some help.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I don't think Susie's going to have time to make 38 phone calls on Monday.
Not effectively.
Not effectively.
Certainly not effectively.
Yeah.
So then what should the follow-up be?
So on Visitor Extravaganza for the awesome event, the follow-up is that you, the member, call your 3 invitees.
Okay.
Whether or not they showed up, you call
them. Oh, important. Yes, it is.
Yeah, you call them, and then you reach out to your partner. Remember, we talked last week about each member is going to be partnered up with one or 2 other people in a team, and you're going to exchange your invitations.
Correct.
Well, we're going to do the same thing with the same teams afterward. So you call your visitors.
Got it.
Then you call your partner's visitors the next day.
Got it. Okay.
All right. So yours.
And it's only 3 calls.
It's only 3.
Right.
Unless you're Andrew Darlington and you invited 25 people. Okay. All right. So it's just going to be 3 phone calls to make. And you make those phone calls, and then the president is going to be asked to call all the visitors. Presidents, I'm putting you on alert now.
Yeah.
You might need to spread it out over 2 or 3 days. Okay. It depending on how many people show up. You could even delegate. I'm totally cool with the president.
Yeah,
in a
good idea.
Good functioning chapter. The president might say, Vice President, would you call these 5? Secretary Treasurer, would you call these 5? I'm going to call 10. That's 20. I need one more person.
You got a couple other members.
Yeah, I need a couple more members to call 5 apiece. We can do that. All of you report back to me. The president's going to report back to the director consultant, who's going to report back to the area director, and they're going to report back to me as to that all the follow-up calls were made and what the results of those calls were.
Fun.
So it sounds like we're going to need to start with some spreadsheets at the chapter level.
Yeah, I think so.
You know, and on those spreadsheets, who called and that it was what the outcome was. And that's a deliverable you can give to your director consultant.
I like the idea about who called, because if you're reading a comment in there, it would be nice if you had questions about the comment to go back and say, hey, Jennifer, you said you called here and this is what happened. Right. Just putting information in there may not be good.
So a lot of our chapters are using spreadsheets in their regular visitor follow-up.
We do. Google Docs.
Google Docs is a great way to do that. And what I would recommend is that the chapter president set up a spreadsheet that is specific to their awesome event.
Okay.
And then use that spreadsheet for the follow-up for that particular week.
Okay.
And then it can go back up the chain, like I said, to the directors,
And then if you wanted to merge that file with the big old visitor list, you can.
Oh, but absolutely.
For the awesome event, for the fantastic follow-up for the awesome event, we'll create our own list.
Yeah, do that. So the key is that we're going to have follow-up and communications.
Yes.
Because if you want to take this awesome event and you want to end up sponsoring members, then it's going to take more than just getting them to the event. It's going to take that follow-up.
Right.
Where we're able to coach them along the decision-making process about applying for membership.
Yes.
What questions do you have? Tell me about your experience. That kind of thing.
And I think we should use all medium to contact the prospective members. Some people like phone calls, some people like emails, some people enjoy just a text message or a Facebook IM, but try them all. And like you and I were talking beforehand, calling and leaving a message or sending an email that gets no reply, that's not really a contact. You really haven't gathered any information, or you really haven't moved the process along at all.
So speaking of email, when your visitors are registered before the event and your visitor host marks them as attended after the event, they're going to get an automatic email from BNI Connect.
Nice.
That's going to say basically all the good stuff. Thanks for attending our meeting. Tell us about your experience. And by the way, here's a link for applying for membership. So they're already going to get an email.
Right.
So
try something else. Try the calls, try the text, whatever.
The phone call's best. If you get them live on the phone.
An actual conversation.
An actual conversation and see what'd you think? How'd it go? Can you see your business benefiting from participation?
Yes. How can you see your business benefiting?
Yeah.
I love it.
Those kinds of things.
Well, I look forward to seeing the awesome events we're going to have during Member Extravaganza.
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing all those lists and the new members that we're able to gain and the businesses we're able to promote and our business partners that we can shove around.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, thank you to my friends, Andy Brasfield and JR Hartwig, for being here today. Thank you, Trademark Advertising, for the space and the video and the podcast you're listening to. If you like the way that Andy and I are sounding, not looking, but sounding, maybe JR can help you do the same. So that's all we've got for this time around. We'll see you guys next time.